Hello, everyone. It's 5:30 in the morning. It's still dark. I've been up since 3:30. Just been meditating and stuff. Well, I don't make a video. I just touch on a subject that I'm sure a lot of us spiritual people can at least relate to. This is gonna be a video. It's the one thing that probably hurts me the most, and I'm sure that a lot of spiritual people can relate to. Since pretty much as far back as I can remember, um, I've always been treated slightly differently, in the sense that people, I don't know, whether it's just the way I act or something. I don't know what it is, but they always expect more from me. They always expect me to give. They always expect me to care, to understand. Even right down my stories, what they expect me to understand. They'll tell me their problems and stuff. And it would be a bit of a burden at times, you know. I'd never gotten accepted for just being me, for just being Ross, you know. And every time I did, which was probably, it was like, I can't think of about 3 times now. The first time with my grandfather, when he taught me his philosophy behind the Bible, he interpreted the Bible for me metaphorically to help me to sort of, cope with things. And when he died, I just spiraled out of control. I sunk way deep into depression. That was when I was about 12. And yeah, and the second time was with my guru, and he just accepted me, didn't judge me. He knows everything that's happened to me, everything in my past, all that sort of stuff. He didn't judge my past, he didn't judge anything, he just accepted me for who I was. And accepted that I'm human, and as a human I can make mistakes. That was the first, he treated me just like how you would expect to be treated, with unconditional love. The third time, and the person knows who she is. She's the only one recently, or I've known her for like 2 years now, which is crazy. But she brings out my individuality. She recognizes a part of me, and she brings it right out. She accepts it, and so it just comes right out with her, we just talk crap, and we're just ourselves around each other. So it's good. It's good to have that sort of stuff. But as far back as I can remember, I've been expected to be more, or understand and do all that sort of stuff, and it's weighed a lot on me. Like, I was just crying over it, sort of thinking about it in my head. One of the things that has probably affected me the most in my life was just this very fact that people always expect more from me, and they don't they've never expected me to just be a normal kid, because I've always been smarter or wiser, or I just didn't get it or something, or I seemed different. But one of the things that affected me a lot growing up, because I didn't have any point of reference for my sense of what I was experiencing and who I was growing up. But all I knew is that I knew this more. How do I say? I knew this more on an internalized sense, or you could say instinctual to some degree. But my sense of knowing comes from letting go of myself and giving, or letting go and surrendering, or going beyond myself. That's my sense of knowing. That's my sense of wisdom, or compassion, or whatever. So, being psychic and growing up, especially in the 90s and stuff like that, where this stuff was still a bit taboo and stuff like that. It's like, you tell your friends, oh, I see ghosts, or no, I've intense deja vu, or I see things that happen when they happen. Or you tell them stuff like that. They look at you like you're mental, or like or some of them actually can relate to it with the deja vus and stuff. But yeah, I sort of had stuff like that, but I don't really think about it. It's a bit weird, Ross, And so it's still a bit taboo, you sort of keep it to yourself, without being over crazy. You try coming out to your parents, your mother, whom is a staunch Christian, and you ask her things like, is it possible for man to become like God? Because, like, I'm going to get into it in a bit, but when I was 9 years old, I through the guidance of what I knew then as God, but I don't know as my guru, I went through a Kundalini awakening. I met my guru spiritually at a very young age. It's been guiding me for a long time. Actually, I'll get into that real quick. Basically, the voice of God that I always attributed to, as guiding me, that inner conscious voice. It's very funny. When I met my guru for about 2 years, I was like, it's funny, Richie, like, I don't hear the voice of God in my life. I don't know why. It's like, you understand why? And I never hear his voice from his God. I hear his face would just pop up, and I'll get images and stuff. And then one day he talks to me, I'm hearing his voice, and it's in my mind. I'm like, wait, that sounds familiar. I'm like, wait, no, it can't be. And then I trace back my memories to when I was a kid, and you have that clairaudient, clairsentient, or whatever voice that's guiding you. I was like, oh shit, it's the same voice. But yeah, enough of that. So I met my guru. I've known him for a very long time spiritually. I've known him for a couple of years physically. But yeah, going through intense experiences growing up, saying to your friends. Now, when I was 9 years old, I said to my friend, I'm not gonna tell his name. You probably wouldn't appreciate it. But basically, I said to him, do you think life is like a movie where, the more in tune you are to it, you can choose to skip scenes and like select scenes if you want to, if you will to, through your will, through your desire. And he's like, all the time. Like, oh, what the fuck? I said something along those lines. He goes back to his mum, and he asked his mum, because he was shocked by it, really, by the movie. And he told me like about a year ago, and I still talking. And I got in touch again, and he said, I still remember that time you told me that. I remember other things too, but there's some memory blanks. And it just happened to have memory blanks where some weird stuff would happen, like some weird psychic phenomena would happen. So that's pretty trippy. But he asked his mum, and his mum was like, no, kid's gotta be on drugs, he's gotta be on drugs. There's no way that's normal. And so his mum assumed that I was on drugs like acid or LSD or weed or something at 9 years old, when all I was doing was meditating every day, going for Kundalini awakening. So she made him stop being friends with me and stuff like that. But yeah, around that time, around that Kundalini awakening experience, I had my first, I guess you could call it a mission or test come at me, and this really affected me. Basically, this chick, she was, I think, a year younger at the time, so I was 9, she was 8, and she would come to my house every night, and she would just come crying, and only ask for me, and it was weird, like, we just, and then she was like, right, we talked to her, like, to go sit, like, beside the houses, the alleyway type of thing with the street light. Like a walkway type thing with a street light and like a little, how do you call it, a little border type, like, what do you call those things? It's not like a fence, but there's like little wooden things, like a border type thing. So you could sit, and people sit in those things. Those sort of things. That's not a seat, it's not a fence, it's like a border type thing. It's just about sitting height. So you could sit on it. So I had one of those at the side. So we would sit there under the street light. Sometimes, a lot of the times barefoot, in the cold, just talking. And she would tell me about her problems, how she was like getting abused at home. And I just sit there, I'd listen, I'd give her advice, I'd talk to her. And this went on for about 36 months, and after a while I started freaking out. Well, not really freaking out, but it sort of took me by surprise. I'm 9 years old, and I'm counselling and psychology, or counselling this person through her problems. And this wasn't some ego thing. It's just I'd been through quite a bit of pain in my life, and I know that. No, I instinctually know. Maybe like a little bit of a mother instinct in me. No, I instinctually know that when you go through pain, the last thing you want to do is get left alone. And so when a person in pain, what I instinctually do is I'm there for them, I care for them, and yeah, and that's just who I am. So this went on for 36 months. She would literally come in the house every day, no matter what the weather. And most of the time barefoot and stuff like that. And I should, want to talk, just, and I'd comfort her and I'd cuddle her, and like it sort of really affected me to the point where she's getting really demanding. Like she wants to see me every day, and she should go to no one else. She only trusted me, and so I asked her one day. I was like, "No, why me? Like, why do you only come to me and speak to me and stuff like that? It's a bit like I'm only 9 years old. I'm still a kid. You're still a kid, So yeah." And she's like, "Ross, you don't." It's weird, She's like, "Ross, you're different." I was like, "Wait a minute." She's like, "You're different to most people," and I see that. I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "No, there's something about you is different." Most people these days, if not quite a lot of people, don't care about people's rights. But you still care about people. You still have love for people. That's very nice. It's different. And it's good to know people like you out there. But there's always been something slightly different about you. Something. And that's the closest I can describe it to. And I think she said something like, it's like you're an angel or something. I've heard that always weird. Like, I've heard a lot of people compare me to an angel or I don't know what soul or something. I've had it happen quite a bit. Like my mum and her friends, when I was a baby, they were like, "Oh, he has the face of an angel," just those little references, those little things, which are very interesting. And ironically, when I was growing up, my first friends, which you could, I guess, label as imaginary friends, were angels and stuff like that. And it's not just imagining something in my head. I still remember them, and they were like, it's weird because there was some mental dimensions that overlaps this dimension. On some level, I was interacting with them physically, so I could perceive them very clear, very and if anyone was in my first year of school, so year 1, you remember in class, I shouted out in the middle of the class, "Look, there's an angel." Because I was sort of in a daze and this angel was playing me the harp because I was bored in class, and she's like, "Ross, don't worry about it. I'll keep you entertained." She'll make silly faces for the teacher, so I laugh. And then, because, I don't want to tell the teacher, but I was bored as hell. So the angel would, sit sort of in the corner of the class, above this window type thing, and she'll play the harp for me. And I'm looking around and what? No one is taking notice of this angel. My mum had told me, of course, Ross, if stuff happens in school, just keep to yourself. As a kid, you don't think, So I'm looking around and I'm like, "Can't you all see it?" I'm like, Can't you all see it?" And everyone's like, "Yo, what up? What?" I was like, look, there's an angel. And I stand right up. I look around and everyone's like, what the fuck? You know, like, I don't know what it's like, but you know, like, oh, what's wrong with this guy? You know? And yeah, sort of, I think, just sort of brush it off with a little bit of light laughter. But yeah, that teacher had a little love for me, so I thought I was different and stuff like that. And she said, Ross is a great gift, it's different to most kids. I've been told this again and again and again and again, from teachers, from people, from friends, from women, of course, that I'm different to most people, that I'm caring, I'm sensitive. There's just something different about me. And I find that it's odd because I'm just myself. But, like, yeah, this video is about what has affected me the most. And in some ways it has been that psychic gift. It's been that sensitivity, it's been that caring, it's been that empathy. Because that gives me a sense of something more, and I naturally care for people, I naturally extend my hand to people. It's just a part of who I am, I can't help it. But what affects me is when people don't recognize me. They only recognize that sense of God, or that sense of, when I say love, there's me that loves as well, but like in that sense of something more to me, they only recognize that. I've never been recognized for just plain Ross, apart from a couple of incidents in my life. And when I have, something, one person, a bloody million, he gets it, and he's just like, no, you're like, cheeky little boy. And when a person meets you like that, and they appreciate just get you for you are, you just naturally are yourself around them, so it's very, very interesting, and yeah. Okay, so what is everything else? Okay. So growing up, I'm just gonna say 0, just because that's far back as I can't know the exact age. But from 0 to, I'd say to 16, but more 0 to 12, 0 to 14. But I'm gonna say 0 to 12 because something happened when I was 12 years old. 0 to 12. Basically, I went through intense spiritual experiences. Very intense, very, very trippy to it. And I had no point of reference for these experiences, for what I was experiencing. I had no one around me who could tell me, this is happening because of this is happening because of that, because no one around me was psychic. Growing up, the biggest frustration for my mum was, I can't help my child, he's going through all this stuff, and I can't help him, I can't guide him. What am I to do? And that scared the crap out of me because she was out of her depth. And on some level, my brother's very psychic too. I don't want to go into that because he doesn't like talking about it, but it doesn't really bother him as much. It doesn't really affect him as much. He's far more normal than I am, but he's sensitive to us. It's kind of strange, she's born with like 2 psychic kids, and the first bloody child's highly psychic or highly receptive. So it's very, very interesting. It's very frustrating for her, because she didn't help me to cope with all that I'd gone through. But I didn't have any point of reference for the intense experiences I had, going, like, now that I see it, going into mental planes of existence, and deja vu's, premonitions, seeing people die before they die, predicting when they're going to die before they die, seeing ghosts and stuff like that, here and there, a bit of healing, she didn't have any point of reference for that, and spirit possession as well. It happens to a lot of us because we're more open. So the first thing we gotta learn to take care of. So if you're psychic, the first thing you gotta learn to take care of is not modeling into society, because that'll only make you more depressed and stuff like that, and you'll further disassociate from what you feel as yourself. What you gotta learn as a psychic, as a sensitive person, because you're sensitive to feeling, is processing your emotions, processing your feeling, and just learning how to feel good. because you are what you attract. You see that with your premonitions, with your ghostly sightings, and it's all in some essence a reflection upon yourself. So I didn't have any person for reference. Now, when I was 11 years old, the closest thing I had to a reference for spirituality was my grandfather, and for about a year, until I was about 12. Even through his dementia and so much, he would teach me about the Bible and stuff like that. It was a huge bonding experience. That was the first time I felt like someone genuinely cared about me, because he was reaching out to me and he was talking my language. He wasn't talking about with the Bible from a literal point of view. He's Indian. So when he read the Bible, that little Indian in him, he's like, Ross, this, I'll read this and this to you, and you're going to tell me how it relates to yourself and what you can get from it for yourself, and how it relates to your life and your life. That's the way you read the Bible, Ross. It's not literal, it's philosophical and metaphorical. And he made me read the Bible like that, and so I'm reading this stuff, and it's just boom, boom, boom. And this shit, I was like, no, sorry, excuse me, but this is like, whoa, shit. This is some intense stuff. And this has got some truth to it, and it resonates with me in the way that he's saying it. It's not a literal, it's not like you go to church and it's some literal thing, how they make it out to be. It's metaphorical, it's symbolic, it's philosophical. That's another thing too. All the spiritual people, that spiritual knowledge about higher self and everything, all this sort of stuff, and chakras and ascension and rising through the chakras and stuff like that. You're in the Bible with just that basic knowledge, with just a basic spiritual knowledge. It opens your bloody mind up to more, if you are going through samadhi, it's going to samadhi, or anything like that, you read the Bible, you've just grabbed the code. You can just read that thing and it's like, boom, 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 you know exactly what's happening. Because it's a coded book. It's an alchemical book, and it teaches about the process of alchemy. And the whole Bible is a metaphor on self-discovery, on learning about self and stuff like that, and coming into your enlightenment. That's the whole thing is about. That's how you properly read it. Even Revelations and stuff like that. It's not about what happened on earth. It's more of an internal battle and stuff like that. But enough of that. For 1 year he had coached me even through his dementia, and this was the biggest bonding experience. This is the closest thing I had to truth. Next thing you know, he dies. And he dies on my he dies on my year 7, so my primary school graduation, that exact day. I ended up severely, I was in shock. I was like, wait, are you still coming to my graduation? Because I wasn't thinking straight. I was still in shock. She was shouting, she's like, how can I come here? My dad is died. I was like, but it's my graduation, right? And because I was in the shock, I was like, shut the fuck, I was saying, dad is died. So mom couldn't come to my graduation. None of my family came to my graduation. It was my mom's friend at the time, or very period, a partner at the time, he came there and he supported me. And him and me, we never really got along because I always thought he was a bit of a prick. He was a Scorpion man, and I'm a Leo, so we get each other as far as will goes, but our way of processing, our way of dealing with things is very different, very different. So he supported me, and then my grandfather died. I just didn't have any sense of reference to truth anymore, or life. And so I started slowly, I started to deny that psychic sense of myself. It still came through here and there, I've made music here and there. The first song that I made was entitled God's Gift. And so, that's, it was more about my belief in people. The chorus went something like this. as far as I can remember. God's gift, the illusion, leaves us in levitation of a generation, is outspoken and brave, so let this be taken, let memories flow, let innocence of art. I read that when I was 14, or 15 or something, maybe 16, 14, 15, 16, around that time. And yeah, and I'd been writing that since I was 11. And I was probably, I was probably at my peak then. You know, I could freestyle and everything. It was wicked, man. But yeah, that was the first track I made. Another track I made, and you probably find this, but the person that's not really releasing it is that person's got a bit of recognition. So you get a bit upset, but coming out with it, because this is one of those, the whole time I'm making a track. This is when I was 16, 17. I've been smoking herb around that age, so I'm already like a bit of a an out there seeming kind of dude. People always think I'm high all the time or something, and that's just me being in my natural relaxed state of being, that sort of meditative state of being. But when I'm smoking pot, people think I'm stoned all the time, and I'd smoking a bit of weed the day before, I decided to record this track, and I'm still feeling a bit buzzed. And the track was called Guardian Angel. And the guy, the whole time he's looking at me, he's like, yeah, no, it was fun, mate, it was fun. And we just made it for the hell of it, for the fun of it, But the whole time I was making it, it's like, Ross, are you stoned? I was like, no. But I was still affected from the day before because I had smoked it. He's like, no, you sure you're not stoned? I was like, no. Ross, stoned. Oh, it was some bullshit. It's fun, man. It's fun. But yeah, so I had, it still came up here and there, in my life. But ultimately, I started to deny that sense of who I was because I didn't have a sense of reference for it. So that was the hardest thing for me. The hardest thing for me was, dealing with my sense of something more, having that sense of something more, being psychic, being in tune with something, because people expected me to be more, but they couldn't relate to it, and they wouldn't appreciate me for just being me, they wouldn't accept me for just being human. They always thought that I was always different, but I have my human side too. I have Ross. He just talks crap, he just does normal shit, likes to write music, likes to write poems, likes to talk crap with people, likes to have these witty little conversations. I have my moments of wittiness, not all smarty, love and light, and no intellect. I still have my intellect, I mean, it's ironic because the more you meditate, it doesn't matter, what exactly you meditate. The more you meditate, like I've noticed in the last probably month or two, my sense of intellect has diminished quite a bit, unless I'm with certain people. Like on the whole, I'm just very simple, very loving, very caring. Sometimes very normal, but the time my intellect is so, but I still get it every now and again. I still flare up, still like that, sense of bullcrap with people. But yeah, so the biggest struggle for me was having that sense of something more. People expect me to live up to it constantly. People are not accepting myself for myself. So that sounds normal. I'm still trying to retain me, still trying to retain myself. Eventually, this denial of self mixed with a lot of stress, and as I'll say, a lot of stress, a lot of pain over the years. And yes, us spiritual people, we go through a lot of pain. It's a part of our transmutation, and we transmute lower energies into higher energies. Pretty much because we generally just care more, we're just nice and relaxed. It threatens people subconsciously because they're like, what the fuck, and they just relax, or they unload all their stuff on us, and it threatens them almost, and this makes them actually attack us even more, and so yeah. So yeah. So we go through a lot of spiritual people. Not just normal but we've not had normal lives. A lot of us have come from extreme dysfunctional lives. But because we retain our innocence and retain our pure essence, and retain that sense of relaxation, people think we've had it easy. And with me, I have mannerisms or etiquette or a way of speaking, whatever you want to call it. I have that, and so people think well, yeah, in some ways I'm educated, yes, but people think that I come from a fancy home, that I'm rich or something just because of the way I talk. And if I want to get into everything, the way I talk is my sense of who I am. I've always held my head high. I've always come on top of things, I've always overcome things. So my sense of the way I talk is just my sense of that's more a reflection of who I am. Being half Indian, Dutch family, we're very arrogant. No, and having past lives where being royal here and there doesn't help, and being a yogi and all that sort of stuff, that sort of stuff doesn't really help with my arrogance. But I still generally care for that. I still love people and stuff like that. And so, that comes across, a fair bit in my mannerisms, but it's not necessarily from ego, it's more of a confidence thing. It's more, I'm sure of who I am because I have it, and I'm sure of what I perceive because I'm coherent in that. I'm not afraid to go into the unknown. So when I speak of things like I know them, and what works for me, because a lot of these spiritual people relate to this. When people come to us for advice, they come to us for advice, because we seem to get it. We seem to be relaxed and happy all the time, whatever. And we give them truth as is, but they don't want the truth. They don't want some bullshit to pander their ego, and we don't give them bullshit. We just give them the truth straight up as is. Just bam, right in their face. Like, whoa, crap, this guy. Yeah, that makes sense, but I don't really see it that way. Nah, you think you know everything? I was like, mate, if I thought I know everything, I wouldn't tell you shit. If I thought I know everything, like I wouldn't have a sense of knowing. And then they go, wait, what? What do you mean? What do you mean you wouldn't know if you thought you know everything? I was like, because for me to get my knowledge, I have to go beyond my sense of knowing, and that's been a hard thing for us psychic people to explain to people because we don't have any point of reference to it. But how we come to know a lot of what we know, how we come into being what we are, a lot of it comes from simply like going beyond our sense of self in order to know. And we always have something more like, it's like I have to go beyond myself in order to know, and I get a sense of it. But we don't know how to word it exactly, in order for people like us, where our knowledge comes from, it goes beyond our sense of self, and that is our sense of God and everything, And so I think I helped some of you explain the details a bit, and now I'm starting to get tired, so I'm losing a bit of my memory. But combine that with a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, and then vintage denials and stuff because I had no reference in it. And I come out with drugs. I went through a huge I guess how do I say it? I went through a huge face off or thing with my psyche, and I went through a lot of stress, a lot of pain at the time. And if you do drugs, it's not necessarily the drug that's going to be the issue. It's going to be how you cope with stress. Cope with stresses, that the internal mental stress, or what's going on inside of you. It's environmental stress, and it's the drug itself. When I went through what I went through, and I'll let you know what I went through, basically my environment was very stressful and chaotic. It was more a reflection of the paranoia in my head. I had people, because I was doing I was dealing drugs at the time. I was dealing drugs. And the pot. But I had family members, and no, I don't do any of that stuff anymore at all. But the way I saw it was I was trying to quit cigarettes, and I had multiple reasons to quit cigarettes. If you're sensitive, you know one of the reasons. There's a lot more to it than that. I didn't want to get kicked out of school. I wanted to focus on school and get it on. I just want to get rid of the damn habit. What the hell is fun smoking cigarettes? So I thought to myself, it'd be a great idea to start selling a bit of weed so I could smoke a bit more and just get rid of cigarettes that way. And yes, it took me a couple of years, but I managed to get off cigarettes. That didn't help me get off cigarettes. But yeah, that didn't really do much. Like my memory, my sense of humor was just very fine when I was smoking quite a bit of weed to get rid of the cigarettes. But don't do it. I don't suggest doing it because you'd have to be so damn relaxed. When you're coming off cigarettes, it's hard to maintain that relaxation. So I don't recommend smoking weed to get rid of cigarettes at all. If you're gonna do it through meditation. Do anything for meditation. But I did that, and then my family members came around, and they threatened to call the cops on me. And people just want to blame the fact that I smoke lots of weed. But my memory did not start to come. I didn't get paranoid at all until that family member threatened me again and again that she's going to call the cops on me, that she's going to get me arrested, send me to jail. She finds out I'm smoking weed still. I was like, I'm just trying to really use it to sort of quit cigarettes, right? But they don't listen. It's like, no, still. So that's when I started getting paranoid, and weird things in my behaviour started to manifest. Like instead of smoking them around, I would go to the front door and have a bong or whatever, like smoke a cone or whatever, And so that's when the paranoia started to come in. Now after a while of being stressed out and paranoid whilst I was high, that started to affect my psychology and my brain. And then that's when I started noticing my memory lapsing, my memory going away, and all this bullshit started happening. But yeah, through all that, eventually, I went through deep trauma, all that sort of stuff. All my traumas were highlighted, all that sort of thing. Basically, I was at my lowest point, mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever. What do you want to call it, man? I was at my lowest point, and I just about given up on life. And that's when I met my guru. And my guru was the first person to, accept me for who I was. Showing me that, you love yourself, accept yourself, be there for yourself. For the last 3 to 4 years. I said 3 years, 3.5 years. He's been guiding me on how to, just simple things on how to love myself and how to take care of my emotional needs, my feeling. And that's the first thing we need to take care of as psychics, as sensitive people, is our feeling. It's taking care of our emotional processes and stuff like that, because that's a huge part of what we do. And so and he believed in me and stuff like that, and he accepted me for being human. And you may look at this like this is some bullshit, but him accepting me for being human, that was the biggest thing anyone has ever done for me. It may sound very little, very insignificant, but if you're a psychic, if you're sensitive, if you're spiritual in some way, you'll get exactly what I mean. It's a very big burden where people just don't accept us who I am, and they always expect more from us, all that sort of bullcrap. But he accepted that I was human. He, said, Ross, it's okay to make mistakes. Ross, you're human, you've got a good heart, And that moved me more than anything. And then I was like, wow, this person believes in me, this person knows me, like, he gets who I am. And he accepts me for just being Ross. It's not about, but now I've come to know what a side of science. It's not just about that. It's about Ross too. When a person gives you that love, gives you just that shaped my whole life, from then on. I went from this little dickhead whose idealism was to do drugs and become a drug dealer or something. And I went from that to wanting to help. Well, I've always had it in my heart to want to help people, but back then I was a lot of pain, all that sort of stuff. So But I went from just a complete dickhead to accepting who I was, to being open with myself, to being loving, This is just a little thing, people accepting me for being human. Someone accepting me for just being Ross. He changed my whole life. He shaped my life and all this today. And you may look at it from the outside and see it's not much. But these last 3.5 years, I'm crying right now as I say this. These last 3.5 years have been the best years of my life. I've been through bloody mental illness. I've been through the fucking lot of it, man. I've been through a lot of shit. But these last 3.5 years has been the best years of my life because he taught me that, that it's okay to make mistakes. I'm human. At the end of the day, he accepted me with that. He brought that out in me. He didn't expect, this silent silence all the damn time, and that changed my whole damn life. So if you're a parent, you're sensitive kids, you're psychic kids, don't be so hard on them, for not being so sensitive all the time, for not being so giving all the time. They need time to themselves as well. Because the biggest burden I think we face is when people expect too much from us, more from us. Give them time to be themselves as well. That's all I'm saying. Trust me, they'll listen to you. They'll do more than listen to you. They'll give you the whole damn world. It's truly beautiful. It's been a long road. It's been a long road for me. I'm only 20, turning 21. A lot of us have had a long road. But trust me, it's worth it. It's so fucking worth it. But despite whatever the hell you've been through, personally, I don't care what you've been through. I'm not here to judge. We all go through pain. We all go through intense trauma. And it's not about that. It's about accepting it, loving yourself, and moving on. And here's another thing too. If you have mental illness, or if you've gone into mental illness and you're suffering, I'm getting off my meds. Majority of people I know who are in there for the same reasons as me are still battling, that psychosis pretty much. They're still battling it. They're still heavily sedated. They're still, coming on and off treatment. They're still in and out of hospitals. I haven't been back to hospital once. I've not been back to hospital once. A big part of it. And they told me this as soon as I was entered. Because basically, when I was, getting admitted the first time, they're like, this lady, she skits out right in front of me. And that made me panic and everything. I was like, Mom, don't understand me, don't understand why I don't do long time. I end up like her. But the psychiatrist and the psychologist came out and they said to me, look, Ross, see that lady over there? Do you know what the difference is between you and that lady? I was like, no. We sort of suffering the same thing. I was like, no, there's a difference. She can't accept and come to terms with all that has happened to her and that has gone on in her life. You accept it and you're open with it. And you accept what it is and you let go of it. At the same time, you'll overcome this. You'll be one of those kids who make it out of mental illness. You'll be a survivor. Just you watch us. I have full faith in you. Because you're honest with yourself. You're an honest person. You're a good kid. And there's a difference between a person who suffers lifelong with mental illness and a person who suffers briefly and gets over it in a couple of months or a couple of days or whatever. And true to his words, I was out of that place in 2 months. I haven't looked back ever since. I haven't had any relapse in a psychosis. I haven't had anything like that because I've constantly believed in myself. I've constantly been open to myself. I've constantly accepted myself. And it's been a long and hard road. But it's not impossible. The difference between an insane person and a sane person is An insane person suppresses and denies all the pain that has happened because they can't accept it as being real. It causes them too much pain, so they deny and they suppress it. That denial of that sense of who you are, of that pain, of what you've been through, causes a denial in your sense of reality, of what you feel as reality, because you're denying your feeling. A sane person accepts their reality and what has happened to them, and therefore goes with the feeling, lets it flow. Yeah. Oh, sorry, the screen blank there. Yeah. So remember. So if you're a sane person, and that's the difference between coherence and madness. What coherence is acceptance, and that's seeing the truth. It's right there. Madness is denial, it's delusion. Yeah. And it's ironic because I was talking to my friend about this other day. I was like, it's weird, out of all of us, all our mates are getting sedation more, they're getting more treatment. I'm technically on medication that is not, like, I should be on stronger medication for my size and my age. I'm taking less medication than I need to. Like, it's actually doing nothing. I'm just like more habitually sort of thing. Because it's more. It's been there for so long. No, but I actually don't need it. And I feel like I don't need it. I just take it because it's there and it's like I had it. But I don't feel it affects me in any way at all. So yeah, so that's my long vid. I don't know what to call this now. I'll probably say, what I've come to accept or something. Yeah, much love, much light, namaste, and yeah, I'll leave it there. Shit, what's in there? So, love and light.